Hey everyone, it's Jess and I've got another quick little recipe for you here today. Today, I'm going to be making homemade, home fermented mustard, and not just the yellow stuff that comes, at the ballpark and the squeezy thing or at McDonald's or whatever. We're going to have some fancy white wine, whole grain fancy mustard. Part of the reason why I like to make my own stuff is I like to keep the most basic form of an ingredient in my pantry, because if I buy just plain old mustard seeds, I can make mustard powder, I can use mustard seeds in a recipe as is, or I can make a mustard condiment. So if you have this, you can make everything, but if you buy mustard in a squirt bottle, you can't go backwards. Does that make sense? The only ingredients we're gonna need are mustard seeds. I got this from an Indian grocery store. We're gonna go for some salt. It doesn't really matter what salt as long as it's non-iodized. I have kosher salt. We have some white wine. I got this at Costco on sale. We have some white wine vinegar. You could honestly use pretty much any vinegar. This is just what I have. And this is the special ingredient. This is some whey that I strained off of some yogurt. You could also use the juice from like a sauerkraut or some other sort of ferment, but I'm gonna go with whey today. When I do this type of cooking, the first thing I like to measure is the salt, because if you screw up, it's easier to put it back, if that makes sense, because I have totally put way too much salt into a recipe and ruined it. Leave a comment below if you've done that and let me know what it was. So we're gonna go in with 2 tablespoons of salt. There's 1, 2. That's good enough. So if you accidentally pour it and it goes, and the whole thing fills with salt, you can actually put it back if the salt is the first thing you start with. Next, we're gonna go in with 12 tablespoons of mustard seed. I only have yellow mustard seeds, but you could totally split this up between black, brown, and yellow in order to get like a multi-grain mustard or whatever flavor combination you have. I just like to keep things simple and only use one. 7. I'm gonna put the blade on and I'm gonna grind this just a little bit. I don't really want it to be super fine. I just want it to be ground up so we can release what's inside the mustard seeds and it can absorb all of our liquids better. So do a little shake, shake, shake. Now that we've given our mustard salt mixture a quick blend, we can stick it in our jar and start adding the liquids. I like to go easy on the blending. You can honestly blend this after, but I think it's easier to blend it before because the dry stuff doesn't stick to the container as much as the wet stuff does. Mustard is a really versatile ingredient to have, and I strongly recommend adding it to your pantry if you haven't already, because it's an emulsifier. So mustard, the condiment, is known to be an emulsifier, which means it can help bond oil and water, which is great for like sauces, marinades, salad dressing. So mustard is really, really easy to have to add to stuff like sauces and marinades. Okay, next we're gonna go in with the white wine. I'm gonna put in 1/4 cup. It smells good. Working its way down the jar. I almost put the lid on there. And then I'm gonna add 1/4 cup of white wine vinegar. Any vinegar will do. And last but not least, 1/4 cup of whey. This has been fermented from milk. And I'm gonna strain this because I don't necessarily want all those little stragglers of milk in my mustard. Stir, and it's gonna look soupy, but don't worry about that because it's gonna absorb and then turn into like the thick spreadable mustard that you're used to buying. All right, that's it. It's only a handful of ingredients and it's really simple to make. Most of this is going to be inactive time. You could probably use this in about an hour if you just left it on the counter, or you can just stick it in the fridge for until it's gone pretty much. So the reason I wanted to start making mustard is because recently I was at the grocery store and I was looking to buy mayonnaise. I don't usually make mayonnaise because I've gotten really, really, really sick from having 3 to 4 day old mayonnaise that was homemade, and then I got really sick from the raw eggs. So the guy next to me was saying, oh my god, these condiments are so expensive, because it was over $3 for the really cheap like yellow mustard. And I thought about it and I said, wow, mustard's really easy to make at home. So I think I should make it at home and share my recipe with my channel. So let me know if you like mustard I obviously like mustard. Some people don't. I have a neighbor who hates like all condiments. He must be an alien or something because I am a condiment lover. All right, now that this is mixed up, I'm gonna go stick it on the counter and we're gonna revisit this once the mustard has absorbed some of the brine and it's given a little bit of a quick ferment. That yogurt whey is gonna jumpstart the fermentation. You don't really need it, but I like it because I have it already and it's gonna make this go a lot faster.
3 days later.
All right, it's been about 3 days since we put this together. I do confess that it was looking kind of dry and I topped it off with a little more wine. You wanna take a look at the inside? It does look like the mustard seeds have absorbed most of the water. It smells like mustard. It tastes good. It tastes like mustard, obviously. It's a little spicy and it does have that tang from the vinegar and the fermentation. You could eat it as is, but it's awfully chunky, so I think I'm gonna blend it, or at least most of it, maybe like half of it, just so it'll be a more spreadable consistency, which is better for like dressings, putting on sandwiches, although I do really like it coarse. All right, now it is a thick paste. It's a little more conducive of spreading, and I'm gonna make a quick little ham sandwich to give it a try. You can see our mustard is a thick yet still spreadable consistency. How it spreads on this bun. All right, now I have made my very own homemade yellow mustard, and it tastes much more, I want to say nuanced. Like, it's not just vinegar and like a little bit of tang from like the yellow mustard from a can or from the squeeze bottle. It tastes more like a Dijon style or an artisanal mustard that you'd pay more for. So let me know if you're gonna try this recipe below and what you would put your mustard on. Thanks, and let's keep on cooking.